We're live.
Hey, all right, there we go. See, I knew I could get it. What's up, everybody? Welcome, as always, to Undercover Dumpster Fire, as we're showing right from the get-go here, like we always do. Introducing everybody, of course, I'm your one host, Undercover Detective Matt Pitcher. And hold on a second. Did I get it? Yep, all right, good. Look at that. See, I got us live on Instagram.
He knows his own name.
I can't believe it. You'd be surprised how many times I get that wrong. As always, you got Willie, firefighter, actor, therapist. Anything new this week, or are we going to keep with those three? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's good.
We're going to keep with that? All right.
It's a charcuterie board.
I was going to leave that up to Eric. And lastly, we have Eric, Keto 50, as I like to call him, as your other host. And then
from South Florida.
I wasn't actually going to let you talk this time. Sorry about that. I must have gotten that.
Mute him.
And then, so I am like beyond excited about tonight. As you all have heard me talk many times, I very much wanted to get a dispatcher on here. I haven't gotten to yet. Well, I get to break that tonight because tonight we have our first dispatcher. I think I said that right.
Dispatcher.
Yeah, that's what I'm special tonight, let me tell you. But super excited to have her on. And not only did she have a whole career as a dispatcher, she had an exemplary career. And I'm going to give you, she started back in 1992 as a dispatcher. She started with MP Police in 86 out in LA. She was at the LA riots. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it because I want her to get into it, but I could read off of here all the things. But she, I'm very anxious to hear in a horrible way about the October 23rd, 2019 call. I'm not going to say what it is, but we will get into it. But there is a lot of lessons that are going to be learned and just some incredible stories. So please, Deborah, just dive in and tell us about your career, starting with the military police and the LA riots. What the heck?
Oh, okay. So let's go back to when I joined the military in 1986, California Army National Guard. Went in as a communications specialist. Who knew?
Just saying that.
Just saying, who knew?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the reason I went in that way was because I'm too short to be an MP going in. But there was a loophole that if you went in as one, you could transfer your MOS after you were in. So I went in and then became military police after that. So that was kind of cool. So we get up to 1990 through 92, while Desert Storm and Desert Shield and all of that fun stuff was going on over in the Middle East. I get deployed where? LA. Most terrifying place that you could go, especially with the riots going on. You prepare for going against a foreign enemy. You're not prepared to go against the domestic enemy for sure. And so going and quelling civil unrest was quite interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, there's a big moral part to that.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was huge, and not. It's those bad cops that make all of us good cops and law enforcement and first responders look bad.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say about that.
It's very true. It's always been a pet peeve of mine. I think bad cops that, whether it be corruption, anything that's just totally against what the badge stands for, they should serve life in prison. I have no sympathy at all because
absolutely.
It gets officers killed and it also makes our job just so much incredibly harder. So no sympathy.
Oh, definitely. And so my careers, military and my civilian career, kind of overlapped there in 1992. So I was going to the academy for dispatch with Sacramento Police Department when I was deployed. So all my classmates finished out their academy, and then I came back. So I had to go back in, and it was an academy of one for a little bit there. But I did pass and graduate from the academy, and then spent 11 months with Sacramento Police Department. They released me on probation because I wasn't fast enough for them. In a comparison to my second department that I worked for, our busiest night at my second department was our slowest night at Sacramento. Sacramento is kind of a medium-sized to larger-sized city, and it's pretty busy. So
Yeah.
I was let go there, and then got hired with El Dorado County in 1994, and had quite the career. 27
awesome.
years there, and which I don't know what you want to know about dispatch, or
So what?
ask away.
Like, and I think Eric was talking. He spent 6 months in dispatch until they figured out that he was worthless. I get it.
Much
I
better
sp-
cop. Much better cop. Yeah.
I thought I said that when I said worthless. Did that not come across? I did a couple. Like, I didn't do anything. I spent a couple nights watching dispatch just to see that side of it. I was not allowed to touch anything for very good and obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. So part of the reason I wanted a dispatcher on here so bad, dispatcher, is I can't. It's one of the hardest jobs I think there is, and it's so not understood and so left out. You know, one of the ones I always thought about, and I talk about it somewhat, is when Sean and Jeff, two of my good friends who were police officers with me, were killed. They were executed in the line of duty by a coward. And we had a bunch of resources. We grouped together, right, as a unit. My captain, who was on last week, took very good care of us. I don't remember the dispatcher being brought up. And I think back at that now because, you know, call went out that night that a civilian from another thing said, I think there's 2 officers on the ground shot. They never got to get on the radio or anything like that because, like I said, it was a coward who shot him from behind. So it's coming in that way. But I can't imagine. That's just one call, and obviously a horrific and the one call you never want to handle. And obviously I'll get you to talk about your experience with that in a bit. But you're also call after call. I mean, you can tell me what the percentage is. I know a bunch of the calls make you want to beat your head against the desk. I get that, but then you have to stay prompt because out of that, whatever percent it is of those calls, there are so many where you're hearing someone that actually needs help. And I can't fathom the part where you know they need that help this second, and you're having enough trouble trying to talk to them because they're in midbrain for good reason at that point. But how you keep it together to get them through to help get there, I mean, that is tremendous, and I don't know exactly how you do it just from talking on the phone.
Well, 90%, I would say, are women. So we're moms. And moms know how to multitask.
Very well put.
Yeah.
Moms are psychiatrists. We are managers. We are, we give out those jobs to the kids, things like that. So that's kind of the way I treated my deputies, was they were my kids. And acted like it sometimes too, It's like,
all right, let's be honest here. Sometimes, or all the time.
Well, all the time, it's just like going and teaching kindergarten class sometimes. But you're taking a call, you're getting that information, you're listening. I mean, the worst call that we could get is a mom who's lost a child. And that was when my first 911 call was a mother who had lost her child to suicide.
That was your first call?
My first one.
Jeez.
My first 911 call. So listening to that just wailing and sorrow and not believing that that kid is dead, and having to you kind of disconnect. You take your emotion out of it, you get what you need to get, you do your training, and then you kind of later you can process it. But because we're sitting in dispatch, you can't process it. You have to answer the next call. So the next call could be same, it could be worse, it could be a 5-year-old that's playing on mom's cell phone, on the house phone, whatever. There wasn't cell phones when I started.
Yeah.
So you Kay Willie, remember this now. There weren't cell phones.
Hey, I'm an 80 baby. So,
Don't worry,
Youngin.
we'll explain that to him
Youngin.
later. It's
Game boy.
But you're just going call to call to call, where cops and frontline firefighters, you go to your call, you handle your call. Sometimes you can sit there and BS with your buddies and process that call, and then get back in your car and go to the next one. Where as soon as I'm done with that first call, I'm finishing it up and I'm answering the next phone call. There is no time to sit there and BS with my shift mates. We can't process it until maybe when we're driving home and we're in tears. And when I started, the big thing was, if you can't handle this job,
Yeah.
you shouldn't
Yeah.
be here.
Totally. Yeah.
And what we call now the suck it up buttercup attitude. And so you just shove everything down into your backpack and keep shoving it down. And if it starts poking its head, you punch it back down again.
Get the bat out. Beat it down.
And you keep going, Luckily I was in a smaller department, so I got to see how calls ended up, where if you're in a larger department, you don't get to see that. You hang up the call and you don't know how it ends. You don't know what happens to people. And that's a big thing, is not having closure on some of these
I did
calls.
always wonder about that. Because we're a big department, but but we didn't always necessarily get back to dispatch and tell them, hey, this is how this call turned out. And I've wondered whether that's something they would have wanted to know, or, I mean...
Oh, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I mean, if you have somebody that's abusive towards you, yeah, it's nice to know that their ass went to jail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if there's things things you don't want to know, I don't want to know all the details, but, just knowing how things turned out. I was doing a ride along one night. And so I went to briefing, and whoever I was riding with needed to do something real quick. So I went up to dispatch to help out for about a half an hour before I went. So I took a call, and then I go down, get in the patrol car, and guess where we're dispatched to? That call I just took. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that would be different.
Yeah.
I just had a thought of us trying to do that, Matt, in dispatch. They'd call us and say, hey, we'd hang up and take the next call. Yeah, I got the dog complaint later.
Exactly. Wait. Oh, crap. Why is the police coming to the house fire?
Exactly.
Organization.
Yeah.
But I will say I had especially in Charlotte, a pretty good relationship with a bunch of the dispatchers. And we had great dispatchers really in Charlotte. And they would, they could send a message with the call, and they're like, this guy treated me like shit, or whatever the case would be. And maybe a few times where after the call, hey, they just want to let you know that they are very sorry for the way that they treated you.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just it's hard to kind of you learn how to disconnect um your emotions from the calls. But I wouldn't have changed it for the world. I loved that job. I really, really did. Now, some of the people I worked with,
It's always like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I mean, but I took my fair share of officer involved shootings. I had about 6, I think. There was a point where I was so disconnected from my emotions that I was keeping tabs. Bad guys 1,
Mm-hmm.
us
Yeah.
0, that kind of thing. It was
Yeah.
like how many people have we shot?
Mm-hmm.
Up until about 2007. We had an officer involved shooting where 3 of our guys were shot. They weren't killed, but seeing that was the first time we had officers shot in that county in almost 150 years.
Oh wow.
So it
That's
a
like
lot.
a gold rush.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's El Dorado County was the first. I think we were the first sheriff's department in California.
Wow.
Um,
That's cool.
it started in 1849 is when the county and sheriff's department were founded.
49ers.
So yeah, during the gold rush, Placerville and Coloma, where they discovered gold was in that county.
Oh, wow.
So
We got gold badges.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. That's fun. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. So, is there something that you recall that reminded you or you noticed that was like, what's going on with me? Was there ever a moment?
Yeah. There were several times. My first officer involved shooting, I cried all the way home because nobody told me how if the deputy was alive or dead. It's like, is he okay? Nobody's telling me anything. So I was just and it's crying is a release of emotions. It's not a weakness.
Yeah.
So those of you out there that cry on your shift, please feel free. You
Yeah.
have my permission.
Yeah.
But it's just a release. And, I was very stressed that night. And after that, I started working out during my shift. So my next officer involved shooting, it wasn't so stressful. So having that, being able to release some of that anxiety and adrenaline and all that fun stuff during your shift, going out and just taking a walk for an hour, getting that out. Really, really, I could see the difference between my first shooting and my second shooting.
Yeah, you were moving. That's good.
And, just getting stuff out and being able to talk to the guys too really helped. Because we were a smaller department, so we were able to do that. But the first time I really noticed something bad, I had open heart surgery to fix a faulty valve. And so I was off for, the obligatory 12 weeks and went back to work. I had, unbeknownst to me, developed a condition called post-perfusion syndrome, which is something that happens when you're put on bypass machine during heart surgery, and it causes stuff to happen in your brain. And about 3 months after is when people notice that there's things going on, because it makes any mental health issue that you had prior to going into surgery, it makes it just get bigger. So
What?
I
That's
had
crap.
depression, I had anxiety. So all of a sudden I've got this stuff going on. My coworkers don't know what's wrong with me. I'm going, what the hell is wrong with me?
Yeah.
So I had coworkers that had an intervention with me and said, here, we need you to get help. And I said, absolutely, let's go do this, because I didn't know what was going on. So that's where I started my mental health journey was during that.
Yeah.
So during that whole process, I took classes, depression classes, anxiety classes. They were and how to have healthy coping mechanisms. Um, a lot of mindfulness to help me get through a lot of this stuff.
That's awesome.
Which was
Yeah.
I can't tell you. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I also had a weekly support group. So this was before COVID. So I had an in-person support group that I attended every week,
Nice.
which really helped just keep me on track
Yeah.
and help with the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
Then in April of 2019, they canceled that, and I was
What?
kind of left with just my therapist,
We need to get it back.
which really
Yeah.
sucked.
What the heck?
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Mhm.
So I had just my therapist, and I was seeing that person every 6 weeks.
6
which
weeks.
really sucks. Every 6
Wow.
weeks, yeah.
What's wrong
Man.
with it?
Yeah. I mean, I see mine like
Yeah.
twice a week if they need it. You know?
About every
Well,
week.
yeah. Well, you know,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I have support groups now that I do
Yeah.
online, which is really great. I don't have to leave my house, and I've made all sorts of fabulous connections online
Yeah.
doing
That's
that.
awesome. Yeah. See, you're connecting,
But
building stuff. That's good. Connections.
it's wonderful. But then in October 23rd, 2019, was the straw that broke the camel's back. And if you guys are ready to hear that,
Yeah.
or do you have some questions before
No, I'm sure there'll be plenty after this. This is since I know what's coming, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I worked graveyard shift at the time, and I was working the main channel. And I dispatched some guys out to a call of a prowler in a marijuana grow. Being October in California, it's harvest season, so that wasn't an unusual call for us. So I sent 2 units out, and then my dispatcher Spidey said, I think I need to send somebody else out too with them. So I sent the canine unit along with, because of where it was in the county. El Dorado County is a very rural county. So where they were going was, it would have taken a half an hour for anybody, should anything have happened, for anybody to get to them. So sending more units than is a good thing.
Yeah. Proactive.
So after I sent that out, I go on break, and I go outside to take my walk. And as I'm coming back into the building, I get a text message from my lead, and she said, "We need you back here." And I went, "Holy shit, what's going on?" Because that never happens. You know, they just wait for you to get back, and if something's going on. So I get there, and I can hear gunshots coming over the radio. And the person who had taken my radio was like, "We have shots fired." And I'm like, "Okay." And I sit down, throw the headset on, and take over the call. We lost communication with one of our deputies at that time. We tried various ways to have him, if he could hear us, to have him respond just by clicking his radio or something, but nothing. I later heard that I heard the officer down go out. And then they somehow had gotten him out to the ambulance. So meanwhile, all of this stuff is going on in dispatch. I'm trying to get them to start. We have a protocol, and the sergeant has to say, "Start the protocol," for critical incidents, where you contact the admin, you contact detectives, the DA, everybody. It's send everybody. But once I heard the officer down call, I was like, "Send me the world." And that's when everybody gets on the phone, calls out outside agencies to get me extra help out there. All my guys from the west side of the county came up. There was a lot going on, and luckily I had a fabulous team helping me out in the background, and so I was able to concentrate on what was going on out in the field.
Mhm.
So they got him into the ambulance and said that they was on the way to the hospital. So I just said, okay, he'll be fine. He's in an ambulance. He's been shot. We're going to be good. After he got to the hospital, somebody there, a civilian, posted on Facebook that a deputy had passed away.
On Facebook? What the heck?
On
Wait,
Facebook.
how does that even happen?
Luckily, the patrol lieutenant at the time saw that, called dispatch to let us know what had happened, what it was going on, so that we didn't read that on Facebook. But yes, he had passed away at the hospital. I stayed on the radio for 3 more hours until the second suspect was caught and arrested. And then by then my relief was behind me and I was off the radio. But there was a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of hurt. And that call was basically the call that ended my career.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, there's a lot of grief in that one.
That was awful.
And not to pry, and I have, I guess, a reason for asking.
Oh, go ahead.
After you get off the call, you say your relief there. Is there, what did you do? Like, what was your next steps?
I got up, walked out of the dispatch room, walked down to the hall, down the hall into the stairwell, and cried for a half an hour.
Yeah.
Nothing
wrong
I mean,
with that.
you know, you've got to do something. I mean, what, you know, I really wanted to go punch a wall. I really wanted to drive my ass down there and go punch these assholes out. Sorry, just there was a lot of emotion there. They actually brought those guys back to the office to do interviews with them. Luckily, after I had left, because that could have gotten ugly.
The shooters?
But yeah, the shooters.
Yeah.
It was not good, but the department really did a good job with the short-term critical incident stress management.
Nice.
We had a initial debrief that night, which is part of it, you know, just a small how's everybody doing kind of thing. We were allowed to be in the procession to take Brian's body down to Sacramento for the autopsy. That was amazing in itself. How the whole community, I mean, I had sat there for 3.5 hours, concentrated only on one thing, not knowing the bigger picture that was happening behind me, as far as, you know, the radio stations and television stations that had put all of this out. The community just came together like I had never seen before. But driving down to Sacramento from El Dorado County, every single overpass when we went down, and mind you, it was only like 4 hours after this all, you know, ended. But the fire departments, civilians, police departments, everybody was on these bridges and there for us, their support for us. And it was just incredible. We had 2 days. So it was kind of a blur because, you know, when you work graveyard, you're kind of off the next day. So I had, what's it? The third day, we had another therapy session or with dispatch debrief kind of session with a therapist at that time. And they kind of kept tabs on us. Me already being in therapy and in the mental health system already, I made an emergency therapy appointment. I also had critical incident stress management training and met a lot of peer support people that worked near me, and luckily had made friends with a very dear lady and called her immediately, because she wasn't at our department. She wasn't affected by, as
Yeah.
like I was. And so as soon as I was done with my emergency therapy appointment, her office was just down the street, so I went down and talked to her down there for another 2 hours.
That's
So
great.
but yeah, it was the short term at the department was fabulous. It was the long term care where it was non-existent.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't know what to do long term, and even short term. Anywhere in that process, did people get up and move and try to reset their nervous systems? You know what I mean? Before we get into talking, I just remember being in these like circles, those groups. I used to run them too, the SISM groups, and like
Mm-hmm.
we would just be like, "How are you guys doing?" There was nothing physical about it. There was no movement at all. It would just sit and try to work through that.
Yeah, there was no talking it out. I know when I went into the group that we had, 3 days after the incident, um
Mhm.
they took the table that I was sitting
Ah, I
at
hate
away.
that. Yeah, it makes you
And I
feel
was like,
naked.
absolutely
Yeah.
not. We are putting this table
Mhm.
back. I need,
Yeah.
it was just like, I didn't want to be that
Yeah, I know
open.
what you mean. Exactly. It makes you feel like, oh, that's the point, but it's also not like we
It's
don't sit like that.
yeah, I needed to have that little tiny
Yeah, just a
barrier
little bit.
just to be able to
Yep.
Yeah.
open up more. I know that sounds really
No, it
silly,
makes
but
sense.
I
Oh, I've
I've heard
been
that
needed
there.
so
I
that.
many
totally get
times.
that. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. That's 100%.
Yeah, I've heard that so many
like, give me
times.
a table, gosh
Yeah.
darn it.
Or
Yeah.
cubicle. I'm good with either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
holy
When I
moly.
do those things, I
But
don't have
I
anybody's like I don't have anybody in a circle when I run those kind of groups. Because nobody likes that. But I'm glad you're sharing this though, because you did a lot of positive things. Uh,
Oh gosh, yeah. And I knew how to try to deal with this. I didn't realize how bad I was though until about 3 months later.
yeah.
Who knew? Um but that's where I just started spiraling. And
Hmm.
I had a supervisor that was a micromanager and had an abusive personality
Yeah.
and um
Those,
borderline
there's a
sociopath.
lot
So,
of those.
that always helps the situation.
There's a lot of those
That
though.
Oh
There
always
yeah,
helps.
is.
yeah. They get
And
promoted.
she didn't have
Yeah.
right, yeah, exactly. But she wasn't trauma informed and took me down the disciplinary route because I snapped at her. So she got butt hurt and decided that I just needed to be on a way. Um,
Performance improvement plan. Yep.
so yeah. But luckily, I had another supervisor who was going to school to become a therapist, and she recognized what was going on with
Yeah.
me and comp immediately.
Oh
And
yeah. Hmm.
within about a month
That's
and a half
cool.
of going on workman's comp, my psychiatrist signed me off. And
Oh, good. Yeah. See, California's got some
I
stuff figured
said,
out.
and that was it. That was all she wrote. I've been
Mhm.
at a dispatch since October 8th, 2020.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
2020. Gotcha.
How
Yeah.
how long after, like, even through all that, and I know it's probably still a journey even today, I'm assuming. How long did it take you before you started to really feel you're making some headway and getting back to being you?
This year.
Yeah.
So what are we talking? Almost 6 years?
Yeah. Awesome though.
Yeah,
But you've been
exactly.
working
This
at that
year,
for a long
luckily, I
time.
have.
Mhm.
Well, but it's just baby steps.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really is. There's a lot of crying in the shower, a lot of phone calls to friends, a lot of texting. You know, just I'm not having a bad day, and I need to tell myself that it's okay to tell somebody and reach out for help.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to do.
Because otherwise we don't get better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, this is
You
good.
okay,
Do you
Eric?
ever go?
Yeah,
Eric's not saying anything.
well,
You okay over there,
no,
dude?
no, I'm sitting here remembering. All right, so I got shot in 2012, and I'm still working on it. And you're talking 6 years. I'm like, man, I'm like
Holy
13
crap.
years in. But I remember the whole dispatch. I remember everything she said, and every officer that you've helped in your whole career, whatever tragic situation they may have seen, they hear your voice. And I'm wondering if it's like that across the board. Like you have your one dispatcher from your call that you're like, you know, it was Debbie or it was Brenda that was my dispatcher that day. And I remember the fear in her voice calling out the chase, and then the shots fired, and then Eunice, you know, stepping on each other, you know, and she's trying to like, well, what's going on, and the stress, you know. And I was just kind of sitting there experiencing the whole thing with you. And you talk about what happens afterwards, right? You get your, you know, I saw a therapist 2 days later with a, you know, I got shot through the foot, thinking I'm cool. Yeah, man, it's pretty awesome. You know, you're all right. Yeah, 3 months later, I'm back on the road, and I wasn't all right. No, not at all. But what do you do at that point? You've already kind of been given the green light, and then you're back in the suck, you know. And I was just kind of thinking about you going back into that dispatch chair and that first call again, you know.
Oh, that was tough. That I think so. I insisted that they give us that night off because we were supposed to come back that next night, and I said, my team is not coming back. I'm not coming back tonight. I said, not happening. And then we had that was our Friday, the next night. So we had 3 days off after that, and then I came back the next week. I should have taken an extra week looking back, but you know what they say, hindsight's 2020. But I'm glad I stood up for my team. And made sure that they were taken care of also. Because everybody handled it a little bit different. Because, you know, we're all different human beings. So everybody handled the situation different. I was the worst one because I was right there, you know. But it's kind of interesting that the four of us that were involved directly with the call. So the three deputies that were out, four deputies that were out in the field and myself, not including Brian, who obviously couldn't come back to work. But the four of us that survived, none of us lasted a year with the department.
Yeah, I ended up in evidence a year later. I was in a desk job because I would have, and I had to battle workers' comp too to get therapy, even though I got shot. They're like, "You sure you need therapy?" And I had to go fight those bastards. You know, but you know what? I got it, and like you said, I set a precedence at my department. The other guys started because I found out through my psychiatrist. He's like, "Yeah, there's some other people coming." I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "That's all I could say." I'm like, "Okay." I'm starting a little pipeline.
Yeah, you know? There was myself and one of actually the two others with our department. We were all workman's comp on mental health, and we were the first three in the county that did that. The whole time, three in 2019 that had mental health.
Wow.
Workman's comp.
Have you seen the movie 911 PTSD by Conrad Weaver? They got a big story on a dispatcher in that. It's very powerful. So anybody that hasn't seen it, just not cool. Cops.
Hopefully, yeah. I'm hoping that there's one here in California. He's been doing a lot on the East Coast.
You can also buy it
in Boston and Massachusetts.
Departments can get it through their training units too, in case somebody out there wants it for their department too. So.
It's just, you know, a lot of departments don't realize that their retirees should be invited back to have this kind of stuff. You know, if they're showing that movie or they have a speaker come in talking about PTSI or anything like that, stress injuries, that invite your retirees back. You would be surprised who needs it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, totally.
it would be great if I could get that out there, though. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, we need more peer support. It needs to be
Yeah.
more organized. It needs to be more than just a 40-hour certificate. Did you know
Oh,
health
absolutely.
insurance actually has codes to pay for peer specialist intervention working in tandem with clinicians and medical providers? But the only
No,
the
I
only
didn't know
ones
that.
that will actually
Cool.
pay for it is Medicare and Medicaid. But the rest of them have
Oh,
opted
okay.
out to not reimburse peer specialists. So I'm on that. That's a soapbox of mine because I want peer specialists that work with police and fire and and people who are on the front line to be held at a highest standard. I want those people to have the support that we already know we need. And I'm not saying you need another job, but I'm just saying it's not even really, it's recognized, but it's not formalized. It's not enacted. It's
Right.
available. And the peer teams, like, you know, I mean, I've been out to California a couple times to the International Peer Support Conference, like public safety one in San Diego. And it'd be nice if we had more of a network across the country with peers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because and utilizing and I'm gonna this is my soapbox, retirees, utilizing retirees to come back and help with
Exactly. And
that.
they want to. If not everybody does, but if they do and they're willing, they could also be helped too. Like a lot of them are like, I remember doing trainings with, I forget what department it was, but they were like, one guy was mad. He was like, I've been here 20 fucking years and I've never got any of this, you know. And he was like happy, but he was mad, you know.
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen that so many times. Like, it's a real. There's like a character that's like that, you know, like a whole genre.
So Deborah, can I ask you a health question here? All right. So when I was at my department, I was 250 pounds, battling heart disease, didn't know what the heck I was doing, and then I found the ketogenic way of eating, not to promote it, but it was just meat and healthy green vegetables and stuff like that. And I started helping cops, and they started losing weight, and I started being known as Keto 5-0. That's where it all came from. I started helping dispatch, and the record grows. So when you guys are really stressed out, I know as road cops, my crutch was alcohol. I would go out drinking with the guys, culturally accepted. As a dispatcher, records clerk, would you say you guys is more of a crutch? Is your eating habits versus alcohol, or do you see just as much drinking the wine and all that stuff?
For the first 20 years of my career, it was coffee and cigarettes.
That's healthy, okay?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So 2015, I stopped smoking. I stopped drinking. Felt much better after that. Believe it or not, I had lost 50 pounds a year before.
Wow.
That helps a lot.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
But yeah, that's been put back on and then some. Thank you, COVID.
Oh yeah, totally, COVID.
So, but I developed diabetes also from my heart surgery. So I'm on a low carb diet now. I also walk 3 to 5 miles a day if I can, you know, manage it. I work Monday through Friday right now, doing childcare for my 4.5-year-old autistic grandson. And then on the weekends, I work at a, don't hate me cops for this. I work at an HOA.
Hey, whatever.
So I work for a homeowners association.
Whatever, you just joined
at their clubhouse
in California.
In California.
So yeah,
That's all right.
My interview when I got hired there, she asked me how I liked HOAs, and I go, I hate them.
Mhm.
I got the job. Who knew?
We'll take
Um,
her. Mhm.
but yeah, so I'm busier now than before I retired. But you know, I enjoy what I do,
Yeah.
and just keeping busy, and um I try to eat better. I found what did I find this last month that's been actually helping my blood sugar? Quinoa
Mhm.
is fabulous stuff.
Yeah,
We're
that's
using that
awesome.
because rice is really bad for diabetics, and
Yeah.
I've been using that as a rice replacement, and it's been working out really great. So yeah.
Well,
Nice.
I would say look up the American Diabetes Society. Don't look up the association who's tied to the modern medicine. Look up the American Diabetes Society and my buddy Dr. Ken Berry. And he's got a whole protocol. He's fighting the American Diabetes Society because what they've been teaching for the last 6 years is not working. So if
No,
you want
it's
to look at
not.
another avenue, look at his site and his charity
Mhm.
and what he's got going on, and he's going to help a lot of people. So American
Mhm.
Diabetes
Wonderful. Yeah.
Society. Okay.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay, we got that. All right.
There you
But
go.
yeah, it's just, just kind of watching what I'm eating.
Mhm.
With the 4.5-year-old, I'm very active.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That'll
Hide and
do
seek. Lots of hide
um,
and seek.
uh,
Mhm.
well, and he's autistic too, so I'm doing other things. I'm learning speech therapy on the sly. I'm
Yeah.
learning ABA therapy on the sly, and trying to find something that he will eat besides chicken nuggets and French fries. And
Mhm. Yeah, probably lots of
but
sensory stuff,
it just
you know?
oh yeah, and it's kind of interesting. And he's helping me too become more
Oh, yeah.
patient,
Mhm.
and kind of using all my coping mechanisms to deal with him. So
Yeah.
it's been a win-win situation. So
Mm.
and
That's
it
cool.
gave me something to get up in the morning for.
Yeah, some
That's
purpose.
awesome. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
sounds like everything's meaningful. That's good.
I know you're trying to do a lot now to kind of get back to um, the first responder community dispatch and all that. What do you think the biggest needs are for dispatch? What changes need to be made and should have already been made, in your opinion?
Including dispatchers with your critical incident stress management plan, peer support. Peer support should not be, I think everybody should be trained in peer
Yeah.
support, not
Yep.
just the few. Um, Also, allowing for, we had a department, which I was really thankful for. We had a wellness program.
Yeah.
So we had 12-hour shifts in dispatch, and I was able to take an hour of that and go down and work out.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
nice. That's nice. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
which, so, go outside and run or walk or go lift weights or whatever.
Yeah.
That that was a big plus. But you know, if you're gonna do stuff for just cookies and candy, don't bring
I know,
See,
right?
ask
that's a
for
very
healthy
valid
snacks.
point right there.
Yeah.
Buy them a
Mhm.
dinner or buy them a nice breakfast,
Ryan
but don't
steak.
don't bring in donuts.
This is a steak. Beef
Yeah.
jerky.
Nice
Buy
steak,
them a
yeah.
raw steak that they can eat right there, raw at the place.
Yeah. That's fun.
But just changing that whole, and changing the dynamic. You know,
Mhm.
there's a lot of dispatchers that go without
Yeah.
breaks. There's a lot of dispatchers that have to call in an officer to come and listen to the radio while they go to the
Yep.
bathroom. I mean, we've got to stop that. We've got to have, don't let somebody do it alone. Have two
Mhm.
people there. Um, have overstaffing in dispatch, because when the shit hits the fan, it hits the fan up there. It's not like line staff patrol officers and firefighters. I mean, you have one critical incident and you could get an onslaught of 1,000 phone calls.
Yeah.
And it's just, and if you don't have the staffing, you're stressing those people out. And then also put into policy that when you do have a critical incident, that dispatcher gets the same time a officer on the street does.
Absolutely.
So if that officer on the street is getting a week off, that dispatcher gets that same time off.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And
hear
also,
the administration now fighting that.
You can hear their teeth grinding from here. I swear.
The budget.
I hope so.
The budget. Yeah.
And also having therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists on staff.
Yeah.
On call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that.
If you have a large department, have 4 or 5 psychiatrists that are, or psychologists or therapists, whoever, somebody that you can take these guys that have been out on the street on a critical incident and put them into a room with somebody that can talk to them and, at that moment, not just peer support.
Yeah.
I just wish
that's what these guys need.
I was gonna say, I just wish somebody would have told me that it's all right to feel the way I was feeling. That was kind of like what you saw isn't normal, Eric. You're not supposed to see some of the stuff you're seeing on a repeated. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling. And half the time you're looking at each other in those little meetings. The first day you ain't saying anything. You're just like, and then a week later you're still like messed up, and then that's it.
Well, it's the whole law enforcement mentality that we've got to be these big bad people that we don't cry for anything. We can handle this, and but meanwhile you've got guys that are committing suicide in front of the precinct stations, in stations like in Chicago, in LA, and in New York. This is
in their police
ridiculous.
car.
We should not be having.
Yeah.
Last year, there were more cops died by suicide than in the line of duty, and people need.
We had a cop in our department do that. I never knew about it for 20 years until I left. I found out a couple years later we actually had a guy kill himself, and I'm like, I would have liked to known that. What path did he end up? Why did he end up there? And he was getting prescription drugs because of depression, but that's a whole nother topic. I never knew that. I would have liked to known that some poor officer tried to get help. They didn't check on him for 24 hours because he was AWOL, and they found him dead. And I would have liked to have known that, so that's part of it. We hide from that. We never want to address it. Like it's this dirty little secret, the dirty uncle downstairs we never talk about, right?
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and if you watch the way departments announce things, you kind of like, it's finally acceptable to say we had a guy die by suicide or that. But then you watch some of them and they go, suddenly they died suddenly. Yeah. Please don't contact the family. Hello, is that code?
Yes,
own up to it. Our departments need to own up to the fact that we are working you guys to the bone, and the only way people see the way out is to commit suicide. It's bullshit.
Right.
Sorry.
I agree with that.
This shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
I had 2 of my deputies kill themselves well, one of them was the year after I left, but it still shouldn't have happened.
I'm up to 8 friends that have lost a battle of suicide. So yeah.
And we shouldn't have to do that. And we shouldn't have to be putting guys in the graves anyway for on duty shootings, but that's a whole different animal.
There's a role for leadership in there, though. If we don't have leaders to show the way. Yeah. Then we don't. Everybody's afraid to be the leader. You know what I mean? Because they're like, I don't know how to do this. No one knows how to do it. Just start. Let's go. Let's start being the leader. And that's what we're doing. That's what this whole thing's about. This whole thing, this undercover dumpster fire, is just trying to start this conversation or keep it going. Yep. What's
Oh
happening?
yeah, definitely.
What's going on? What are we doing about it? What helps? I'd like to hear more about what helps because I've heard so many conferences and books and
Retirement.
stuff about all the issues. You know?
Oh, I have a list. I have a list. Okay, here, hold on. First book.
Yeah.
What is this one?
Oh,
yeah.
Emotional.
Yeah.
how many
Yeah.
times? I
This is
swear
the
this book has
Bible,
come up like
people.
10 times in the
I
last
know.
month.
It came up last
Emotional
week too. Yeah.
Survival for Law Enforcement
It
by
is good.
Dr. Gil Martin, and I have seen him in person speak, and that man is fabulous.
Me too. I saw
I'm
him
just
back
saying,
in the
get that book.
2000s. It was amazing.
If you're a firefighter, if you're a cop, if you're a dispatcher, read
When I was
that
in the
book.
academy, they handed that book out. We got it when we were in the academy.
Don't give it power, right? Don't give
So-
all that stuff power.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. But there's lots of help out there. West Coast Post Trauma Retreat,
Yeah.
First Responders Support Network, the Overwatch
Oh,
Collective,
great one right there.
Warrior. I love Greg. He's fabulous. That's where my donations go to, is to to help others get the help they need.
Mhm.
Linda Kokoro's Boston. She has a podcast, and they also do a bunch of stuff for the cops up there in Boston and Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, Linda. I know she's probably listening. I forgot her podcast name. But Warrior's Heart is another one. 220. I went through the 220 protocol at the beginning of this year, and my anxiety was gone.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And it's been gone for the last 8 months.
Nice.
So,
Yeah.
there's help out there if you're willing to take that huge step
Yeah.
and ask for it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Well, we are almost
Appreciate
out of
that.
time, and this has been a very serious, great episode. But I need to lighten it up before we go. I want to hear a funny call.
Oh,
I
hell.
know you have to have a million
A
here we
funny
go.
call.
I want a
Okay.
funny one.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know about funny, but it was kind of interesting. We of course, when you're in dispatch, you don't know what exactly is going on, so we all make shit up anyway about calls.
I like that.
And about the cops.
And
Yeah,
so
you don't
I've
need
had-
to make things up with most cops, all right?
No, they just get nicknames.
Yeah, the nickname. That's it right there.
But I've had UFO calls. I've had Bigfoot calls.
Nice.
Let's see, because El Dorado County kind of goes from just east of Sacramento in Northern California all the way to the Nevada state line. So we have a lot of urban to rural to national forest to
I got to ask.
So we worked with a lot.
Any of those calls for the Bigfoot or UFO where you're like, man, I think they truly believe whatever it is they're saying, or were most of them harvesting the crops you were talking about earlier, and you're like, oh, well, who knows?
Oh, no. Well, the one UFO call, I think they had partaken in something from a cook. That's all I'm gonna say.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
They were online. Yep.
But
the other ones you couldn't tell. You're like, man, they seem to really.
You have your crazy people that call every night, and one of our deputies went out and she made the lady who kept calling a foil.
I've done that
foil
exact
hat
one actually. That works.
And said, before you call us, put this on and see if that helps.
Yep.
I went out to a call, and the poor lady was telling me how her refrigerator was stolen, and the aliens put this new refrigerator with all the same exact stuff in the exact same places, and all this. It was quite obvious. And she's like, I don't know how to keep them from getting to me. And so I was like, well, what if we put a tinfoil hat on you? And it worked, and she stopped calling 911. And she
Hey!
seemed pleased.
Oh, fabulous.
You still, and then she called later though.
But you're missing the point. I was off duty by then.
There you go.
It was day shift's problem.
Yeah. I was like, hey. Yep.
Tell them to call back at
Yeah.
7:05.
Exactly.
You're like, picture again? No.
So Did you? Last question, then we'll call it. Did you have that one deputy or officer that when that call came at about 5:45 in the morning, and he's about to get off to go home, and he's the one who always ticks you off? Was he always the one who got the call? Did you have one of those?
No,
Oh, you're too nice.
I had a lovely favorite deputy that would sit outside the casino and wait for the drunk people to leave the casino.
Oh,
6 failed. Actually, no, 5:45 because they got off at 6. 5:45 does a traffic stop and then says, "Yep, one in custody." It's like, you bastard.
overtime.
He was just going. He's going for that money. That was strictly an overtime
Oh,
right there.
every
Come on.
single night. Yep.
You found a way.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hate to do it, but we're at 9:30. You know, I pick you on time. Deborah, incredible, and thank you so very, very much for coming on.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you,
No,
Deborah.
thanks for having me. This was
Yeah.
fun.
I'm sorry you had to put up with those other two, but they always tag on.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yep. It's good. No, thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you so much. And Brittany, if you're still there, can you X us out?
Take us
And
out.
thank you. Take us out. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, as always.
Mhm. We'll see you soon.
Anybody know if we're off?
Let me see.
It's like the Marvel movie you gotta watch to the end and then you see a little clip. What's coming?
Oh, the
See, all right.
There we go.
Yeah.
Ah.